All right, we're live. Good to see everybody. We got in chat there. Well, a little bit of change of plans. Tanya is having a hard time with her internet coming on. I was the guest planned for tonight, and she still may resolve those issues and be able to come on with. But my original guest was to be Tanya Kordek, who has the Bigfoot Museum in Talihina, Oklahoma, and she's also hosting the second annual Bigfoot Conference there, Kiamichi Mountains Bigfoot Conference there in Talihina, Oklahoma. And I was going to let her talk about that a bit. But I've also got my buddy from all the way up in Massachusetts, Cornell, from the No Such Thing podcast. And he and I go kind of way back on the YouTube thing, or a few years anyway. And he's been down and went on a couple of camping adventures with me out in the middle of nowhere, and we made some interesting videos together there. Let's see who we got. How you doing, Cornell?
Good. Yeah. This is a last minute thing, so I couldn't really. I was working way down in Cape Cod today, so I got home, picked up the kids, made dinner. Now I'm like, where's all my podcast stuff? And it's all like, in boxes and shit, and I just didn't have enough time. So I'm like, you know what? This new iPhone 14, and I've seen Brett do it. He gets some good service out of his headphone and his phone. So I just thought I would run with that and see how it went. And it seems to be going okay.
Yeah, and I'm working on with the new computer that I treated myself to, and I've got new internet out here in the middle of nowhere where I live. I switched over to Starlink, and it seems to be doing pretty good. Can you see me and hear me just fine, Cornell?
Oh, yeah, it's perfect.
All right, great. Yeah, I don't regret doing that. Well, let's see who we got in chat over here. We got my friend David Perkins. We got Ty Wilkes. CERT instructor Ron. Let me see. CERT, critical something response team. You have to straighten me out on that, Ron. I was a reserve officer for many years, and I can't remember what all that stands for. It's what they replaced SWAT with. Oh,
really?
Yeah, it's like critical incident response team or something like that. I wasn't on that, but there's an M. Joe Suster, Patty. How you doing, Patty? Something to Sasquatch about. How you doing?
Oh, there? I've seen him forever.
Yeah. Gosh, what is that guy's name? That's
Sean.
Yeah, good grief. Good to see everybody there. It's been probably last October or so, the last time I did any kind of podcast at all. So this is my first time back. I've been working on a music project here lately that's been taking up a lot of my time. Me and my son Elijah, and the guitar instructor in my store, and a couple other guys are throwing something together, and we got our first live show coming up first part of July. So we've been putting a lot of time in that.
Cool.
And having a blast with it.
That's a great outlet.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, Cornell?
Nothing exciting. It's all been kids and work, and just let me see. I've got the odd hike in, but I mean, it's just been like really boring stuff. I mean, I can't remember the last exciting thing I ever did.
We got a really bad dude trying to get into the chat here. I don't know who gave him a link, but he's lurking down here. I know he can hear me talking about him because he's staring at the camera. There's another friend of mine, Brian Terrell.
Oh, hi, Brian.
Brian, yeah, he's a. Where'd you get a link, Brian? Did I send you one?
Well, no. Kind of funny. I got this panic phone call from Tanya.
Yeah, bless the heart, man.
And Tanya was, I guess she's got a new phone. You know how it is when you got a new phone.
Yeah.
And so she wanted me to.
I've been talking to her. She was popping up there, but it's saying her audio and video was not turning on, and every time she was trying to do it, it was knocking her off there. But what I mentioned earlier, was going to let Tanya talk about her Kiamichi Mountains Bigfoot Conference that's coming up the end of this month, I believe May 31st and June 1st there in Talihina, Oklahoma. Brian is one of the speakers there. So was getting
somebody's echoing.
Huh?
Brian, do you have your headphones in?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
You're fine now, but I thought somebody's echoing back to themselves.
I don't know.
That's what happens if you have an external microphone and no headphones. You can hear the.
I've never had an issue with it on my end here. Hey, look here, live wire.
Oh wow!
There you
go. Yeah, it has been a long time.
I've been watching this stuff lately again.
Good to see you. But yeah, David said we're sounding good there.
Well, that's good.
There's Patty. She's been in our chat many times before. And this fella or lady, whatever, is new. M. So I'm glad you did. So we'll, if Tanya gets it straightened out and is able to come on, we'll certainly pop her up in here. But Brian, he's a part of the upcoming conference there, so he can tie us in on some of that too. Known Brian a while. We've done several podcasts together.
Oh yeah. The Tanya's conference is going to be a little shorter in time frame than last year's was, but it's going to be packed full of just about as much guests as we had last year. It's going to be pretty tight. We are having a meet and greet Friday night at the museum. We're all going to be there, and but then after that, Saturday morning, it's going to be down to business, and we're going to be moving through speakers. It's going to be a pretty busy day, I think. We've got Ken Gearhart and Robert Kreider and Jim Whitehead. We've got a bunch of people. I mean, you can tell, and it's going to be going clear through till later. I think the last speaker starts speaking at 7, so it's going to be pretty. I don't know what the word is. It's going to be very fast paced, I think.
Yeah. Well, I hope it goes well. Really, out of all those speakers, I think you and Ken are and Shane and Brian, they spoke at Honaby with me last year.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any campouts or anything arranged, or is it just all conference?
Well, the thing is, you're right near a bunch of camp spots if you wanted to. It's right there at the bottom of the Talihina Drive, basically.
Wow.
Brian, you got something behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't look. Don't turn around.
Don't. Yeah. I mean, it's awfully close.
This is Esau.
Wow.
He's in my backyard.
Wait a minute. Show that again. Is that a cutout or is that a model?
Well, that is an 8'2" cutout.
Wow.
He's made out of plate steel.
Can you stand beside it?
My goodness.
For scale?
There's old Randy. I think that if I can see right, it looks like Randy Harrington.
I just started watching the Sensible Bigfoot Project. I've been enjoying that.
Yeah. But yeah, my goodness, Mark there, live wire. I haven't seen him in, gosh, a couple of years now. It's good to see Mark on here.
He's up in Arkansas again, isn't he?
Yeah.
I just watched his documentary with Carrie like 2 weeks ago. And it was awesome just to watch it again.
That again so recently too. I tell you what, Carrie and Brad, they did such a good job on that. I mean, seriously,
they did.
I would say better than 90% of what I see on Discovery or any of those now. They just did that was tragic losing Carrie like we did. He did a phenomenal job. Super nice guy too.
Yeah,
miss that guy for sure.
And very intelligent too, you know?
Yeah, very much. I got it. Brian, you mentioned Ken Gerhard. I got a funny story. I mean, if anybody that knows me real well, I'm not the greatest with names, and I've got a bad habit of talking to people and calling them the wrong name. I never call them anything mean, but when I met Ken Gerhard, we were both speaking at the Texas Bigfoot Conference the year before last in October, right? And I'm telling you, all day, somebody asked me, said, "Is that guy very nice?" I said, "Well, he was pretty patient with me because I called him Gerard all day and he never corrected." I went up, I said, "Hey, Gerard," I said, "come here." And he come over. I said, "I want to get my picture with you. Is that okay?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." Never told me any different. Now, later, I'm like going, my gosh, I called that guy the wrong name all day and he never corrected me.
Yeah, people should correct you though.
Huh?
People should always correct you in that situation, you know?
Yeah. I should have said, "Hey, by the way, yeah, I'll take a picture with you, but my name's Ken."
Yeah, I wouldn't be offended.
Well, it's
not
but
is Brian the OC?
No, the MC.
You're not. Sorry, is Brian the guy that went to the Kiamichi Forest with you at first?
No,
that's not the same Brian.
No, I've never been in the woods with Dave.
Oh, you're talking about Brian. You're asking me the Brian that I know?
Yeah.
No, that's Brian. That's Brian Baker. He and I have been friends for over 30 years. But no, Livewire said here that documentary that Kerry made with him is approaching the highest views of all Bigfoot audio docs, about 400,000. Kudos! Wow. Randy said, "Cornell, thank you, buddy. I have several videos about the Kiamichis. They're south of where you will be in Talihina."
Yeah, I'll have to watch some more videos.
Yeah, I actually had Randy. I think he was on my last podcast I did. But Brian, let's see. Besides you, there's several of those speakers I just don't know. What can you tell us about the speaker lineup?
There's a few of them a couple of them that I don't know. There's Daryl Williams. I think you've probably met him. He's been around. There's Arla Colette Williams. There's Brian and Shane, of course, and Robert Kreider, which he was there last year, and he's pretty interesting. And of course Ken, and there's a lady that I haven't met yet, and I'm struggling to remember her name because I've never actually met her. Let's see here. There's Jim Whitehead. He's going to be there. He's with the MARBC, and let's see. I'm trying to think. I'm forgetting somebody.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull that.
Pull that post.
Pull the poster up.
Troy Hudson?
No, that was last year. He was there last year. Trying to think of who else. Seems like
okay, I'm gonna read them off here if I can. Shane Church,
right?
Brian Terrell, Lisa Leach.
Yes, that's the lady that I have never met before.
Okay, Jim Whitehead, Ken Gerhard, Daryl Adams, Arla Williams. Jack Carey, have no clue.
Yeah.
Of course, Brian Hoolan, and then a Robert Kreider. Some of them, I know I've seen Robert Kreider's name around, but I don't know him.
He's from New Mexico, and
really,
he does a lot of cryptid research back over there.
Okay. Yeah.
That there would be a lot of cryptid activity in New Mexico, but then again, a lot of people wouldn't think there's a lot of cryptid activity in Oklahoma either. So
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So, but
Oklahoma's kind of got on the map in the last few years, though, hasn't it?
rightly so. I think it's undervalued greatly compared to some of these other states that get a lot of the attention. So,
Right.
my humble opinion.
So,
So,
well, Cornell, what have you been doing up there in Mass?
Well, it's funny because I'm hearing myself echoing. You hear that?
Yeah, that's you.
But I'm plugged into my mic though. There shouldn't be any feedback coming off my phone.
Yeah, we can still hear you okay, though.
maybe it's
Okay, so I hope not. I've got enough going on.
Poltergeist.
So what I've been up to is that's really distracting. I started to hear well, since Carrie passed away, it's been kind of a bit of a bummer. So I kind of went underground for a while, and I've been handling a lot of family stuff. And then I started getting back into it, and after I think I watched some of Carrie's stuff, and then it really got me back into it. And I started to go back to the start because I had never done all of this. I'd never read all of the originals, and I started reading all of their books. And when you talk about people undervalue Oklahoma and stuff, a lot of these guys, they only really mention the Pacific Northwest, so it's probably a lot to do with that. The original, all their names. They always focused on the Pacific Northwest and maybe Northern California, but it's only been in the last couple of decades it's really spread, and that's just probably got to do with social media and just awareness.
Right.
I think you're right. I mean, they really are truly everywhere. I mean, they're
seem to be.
They're in New Mexico. I've kind of made friends with a guy up your way up in Massachusetts, Richie B. And I've found out that there's a lot of activity up there too. I mean, I really don't know that there is a state that really doesn't have at least a minimal level of activity. And I mean, they really are. They're pretty much everywhere. And Oklahoma has got the habitat for it.
Yeah.
Really. So, I mean, it just depends on the habitat. Is the habitat there?
You have to give me a Richie B's info, or tell him that maybe somehow connect me with him, because I don't have anybody to go looking for these things with. Just me.
Well, I'll do that after the show then.
Yeah. If you could, just let Dave know.
As long as you promise to mind your manners.
I will. We're as well.
Yeah, Brian, you're not very loud at all.
How about that?
That's better.
Oh yeah.
David Perkins said Brian's very hard to hear.
I'm hard of hearing, that's for sure. But
that's better now, though.
I think I had my finger over the microphone button.
So. Oh well. Yeah, I just got a message from Tanya apologizing for not being able to get on here. She tried everything, and I understand. There's just sometimes the internet and stuff just does not want to cooperate with us. But like I said, we'll advertise her event anyway. And if any of you guys are around, it's where you can go down there to Talihina and on May 31st and June 1st and check out her Kiamichi Mountains Bigfoot Conference. What time in the morning does it start, Brian?
I'm not sure whether it starts around 9 or 10, but it's fairly early in the morning because we've got a pretty packed schedule. Way she's, I mean, I think it's going to be busier than we thought because, we've got a few vendors that are coming in, but it's primarily about the conference. It's not really a festival. It's more of a conference. And we found out recently too that apparently the town of Talihina is having some kind of street festival that weekend as well. And so
Really?
I think we're going to draw a lot of extra people more than we thought. So I think
Right.
it's going to be a pretty decent time.
Yeah, and I hope she does. I'd like to see her be able to make a yearly thing out of that, like they've done, in the past at Honubby and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Have, split the year. It's better to have 2 conferences in a year than just one.
Right. So, well, are they still having the Honubby thing? I haven't really heard much about it.
Yes, they are. They are still having that. They're going to be having it. They're changed the name, and it's going to be, I think they're calling it Bigfoot at Christ 40 Acres or something. Don't quote me on that. I probably got it wrong. But it's going to be at Christ 40 Acres. They're still going to have it. Everything is still moving forward with that. There was just a little bit of a regime change, and these things do happen. So I don't know all the details, and I'm not into the details about how and what happened, but I can tell you this: the Hanabi Conference is going to happen first weekend of October, just like it always has. So
I can tell you, Brian, I am somebody that does not like the politics of about anything that involves politics.
Oh.
But anyway, I want to say that Randy Harrington here said, David, let's make plans to join up and camp the ridge above Cucumber Creek. We can thermal drone that creek all night. You want to. Yeah, I tell you, I haven't had much a chance to get out and camp. I'll tell you, Cornell, I'm ready to hopefully sometime after Memorial Day get to go out and camp. Last summer, my gosh, Brian,
I'm dying to.
down here, it was so darn hot.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Colorado.
I'm like, and I had it in my head. It was so hot last summer. Cornell, any Bigfoot we had run into would have to be in a foul mood.
Yeah.
It was hot. Hey, here's our buddy Will Star Monsters and Mysteries.
Hey, Will.
If any of you guys get a chance, check out Will Star Monsters and Mysteries. He's got a great channel.
Oh yeah.
And I really enjoy his reports on the old historical encounters, because he will zoom in on the areas that these encounters reportedly happened and do that. And I think it just puts a whole new spin on it, which is really, really good. And also Cornell's got the No Such Thing podcast. And I know he's kind of like me, kind of stepped away from it for a few months, but I think he's wanting to kind of start doing some more things again too.
Well, it's good getting back out there. I miss getting back out there, just into the woods, just an excuse. Plus, a lot of people there was so much nonsense around the last year or so. It really put me off. Just the nonsense. It's just got crazy, Yeah,
in an election year, you turn on the TV and every 30 seconds there's a political commercial.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of those.
I'm talking about you want to believe.
I'm talking about within the Bigfoot community, though.
Oh, yeah. Man, I tell you, Facebook is a neat tool, but my gosh, I don't even remember who this is, so I'm not calling a name, but when dogmen are manifesting themselves in people's hairdos, something has gone terribly wrong. I'm not kidding, Brian. I saw that posted on it, and I'm like going, oh, that's got to be a joke. And then I'm like, no, that wasn't a joke. I literally, I was like, I don't know what to say, But
I guess I missed that report.
That took pareidolia to a whole new level.
I don't know. My wife looks a little wild
Irish humor into that.
Well, it's like if you don't go along with the pareidolia, you're closed-minded and stupid.
Yeah, and it's like
you could shut it down.
And and I still get the occasional folks send me like sound bites of recordings that they've sent once in a while. Most all of them I have been able to identify as coyotes, owls, red fox. Occasionally there's one that I'm like, I don't know. Matter of fact, Tanya, who we were supposed to be a guest on tonight, had shared with me a recording that I could not identify that, because I couldn't identify. It doesn't mean it's a Sasquatch or whatever. It just means that I'm pretty familiar with the different wildlife, as Cornell knows. He and I've been out, and the funny story, the first time that Cornell come down, of course, he was late getting there, and we get down to where we're going to camp, and it's well after dark. And
dark.
I think I was just unloading stuff, and Cornell, he's standing there, his back's to me, he's facing the edge of the woods, and this owl lets out this, wow, just loud. It had to be pretty close. And all Cornell did, he didn't jump. He just looked over his shoulder and he goes, "What the hell was that?" But yeah, I mean, Cornell, that was so close. You could almost feel the reverberation of the call. Like, wow.
That was so cool. That place was like creepy at night. I don't know how you go down there by yourselves, but do you remember I think it was the video, the day we were moving camp and we heard that tree knock. Remember somebody pointed it out to us? You were moving the truck and I was like walking and doing a video. Yeah, and it was just during the day, and there was one single tree knock, and it was so loud, and we didn't hear it.
You picked it up on your recording?
Well, it was on the GoPro, and you could hear it as clear as day, but somebody else pointed it out to us. It was crazy. It was so loud, and we didn't hear it.
Yeah, actually, that too. I think it was. It had to have been the second time you were down. Elijah was with us, and Cornell set and some of you in chat have probably heard this before, but Cornell brought a recording device and set it. How far from camp did you set that in the woods that night?
Got to have been 75 feet or something, up the ridge a little bit.
Set it up the ridge from us, and where we were not at the bottom. If you looked over, dipped down to Will was at the same spot October before last, I guess. And if you look, it goes down to the creek below us, pretty steep drop, and down into these creek bottoms, and then above us goes straight up this ridge. And Cornell, and it's very, very thick woods. And Cornell set this recording device out there. Of course, when he got back to Massachusetts and starts playing this thing, man, he'd picked up all kinds of like knocks, a whoop, which if we had been awake, we would have definitely heard that. But also that's the night that something came down beside his tent, which we kind of ruled out it being a bear because anybody from like places where there's a lot of bear would really get onto us for that, because we'd made steaks and stuff. We left all the food out, where bear, raccoon, anything like that would have went straight for the food we left out. But whatever this was, it came and kind of stood right next to Cornell's tent.
Walked.
We did walked next to it.
And if it had touched that pan, that was like a cast iron pan. It was sitting on top of rocks. I mean, if that was a bear, that thing would have woke me up by itself, but there was no clanging. That was crazy. And I just heard these footsteps, just crunch, 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 just like this, about 10 feet away from the tent. I was petrified, absolutely petrified.
Yeah, you yelled pretty loud.
Oh, I did. These guys were snoring, but it must have heard me stop snoring. And then that's probably when it went,
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Just describing where we were at. It's a good drive over some very rough territory. Nobody's going to sneak up there on us. And there's just that one road going in there. And we're about 18 miles from the nearest town where we were. It's not impossible that it could be a person, but if it was somebody really dedicated to hike through some very miles of very rough territory to get there. So, but the funny part, and I never get tired of telling this because Cornell is so matter of fact about things, because when we looked around, there wasn't, whatever it was, it had left. And I was like, well, me and my son Elijah were like, well, we're going back to bed. And Cornell, just matter of fact, he said, I'm not sleeping in that tent.
Yeah.
So he spent the rest of the night in the front seat of my truck. And we got up the next morning, and I could see Cornell had his sleeping bag over his head. And I thought, well, he must have got cold. But this guy's from Massachusetts. Me and my son are bundled up walking around in the cold. Cornell's got a hoodie on, and he's not cold. So he's used to a lot colder weather. And I thought he got cold. He goes, no, I wasn't cold. He said, y'all went back to bed. And I was looking at all this glass around me thinking, my God, what if it comes back and looks in the window at me?
That would have been terrifying. I'd have had a heart attack,
But yeah, what I was saying about the audio that he recorded, you can go on Cornell's YouTube channel, and what's the name of the video for that they can hear your audio?
Well, if you use that, if you filter it by popular, it's about the fourth video down. It's called Tree Knocks, Whoops, and Whistles. Okay, and it's only about 2 minutes long.
Right.
And you can hear tree knocks, whistling, rock clacking, whoops. And then we heard this animal. Dave and I didn't know what it was, but we found out it was a raccoon later. But that's going the whole time. But you can hear this after that big whoop, Dave. There's this really weird laugh right after. It's like I don't know what the hell it was. You can hear it and see what you think of it, but it was just a really creepy laugh, like almost like a demonic laugh. I don't know. It's weird.
But anyway, I recommend anybody would like to hear that and kind of give it a listen, decide for yourself what you think that was prowling around out there making those noises. And we didn't hear that. This is stuff he discovered when he got back and started going through the sound files. So, but yeah, it's right there on the No Such Thing podcast YouTube channel, and you can go there and hear all of that if you'd like.
Yeah, when you're processing the video, you should just stick it right up there now. You know what I mean? Can you do that?
I don't know how to do that.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Just go to the No Such Thing podcast. He's got, and also when we were recording when we were down there, Cornell was recording there in Oklahoma as well, and you can see what he did too. He's got several videos. So, Brian, tell us a little bit what you been up to.
Yeah.
Well, it's the end of school, and I've been pretty busy, with the weekends and stuff. I've actually been working on a project that I'm almost done with. Trying not to talk about it too much publicly, but I'm doing some eyewitness interviews and stuff, and trying to put together a little documentary on a area here in Oklahoma that is pretty famous for having encounters and for just random people, and that's been taking up some of my time. We've been having a lot of rain up where we're from, so that's been hampering our outdoor adventures. I don't know how much rain you've got down there, but it's been like a typhoon. It's been raining like a couple times a week, it seems like, every time.
Same here.
Yeah, same here.
And tornadoes, man. Sulphur, little town east of me or west of me, their historic downtown is like gone.
Can't believe it.
Wow.
It's just gone.
Yeah, there was. I don't know how many people actually ended up passing away from that, but it's a terrible deal. But it's just part of life in Oklahoma, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
let me answer a question here. Kansas Squatch said, I missed all the Talihina conference talk. Actually, Brian was kind of picking that part up because Tanya was having internet problems and was not able to connect. So Brian is one of the speakers there, so he has been kind of filling us in on some of that. But yeah, Tanya had internet problems, could not get connected. So we apologize for that.
All you need to know is be there.
Yeah. When is it? It's May 31 and June 1 in Talihina, Oklahoma. Now, where at in Talihina is it, Brian?
It's at the it's not at the museum. It's actually there's a little conference center there that the tribe has, and I think it's trying to think of what the address is. But it's right there as you're coming into town from the west, and but it's on the opposite side of town, kind of from the museum, and it's a conference center. I mean, I probably should know this better because I've actually written it down a couple of times, but I'm kind of getting old and forgetful. But yeah, it's the same place that we had it last year, but it's just at the other end of town because Tanya's museum really isn't big enough to hold it. We need extra seating capacity, and this place has a stage and a sound system, and it's pretty nice. It's actually a really nice facility, and but yeah, if you're wanting to get tickets early, you can do that by either calling Tanya herself, or there's a link that she has that's actually on the posters that are floating around. There's a QR code on there. You can scan it with your phone. It's right on the poster, and when you scan it, it'll take you there, and you can buy your tickets right there and get them early. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming fast. I need to make sure I'm all prepared because I'm going to try to have a booth set up so that hopefully I can take reports and let people give their reports and stuff. Because those conferences like that are a great opportunity to try.
But we just lost him. We just lost Brian.
I just brought you up on my computer so I can see the chat.
Okay. Yeah, we lost connection with Brian. Maybe he'll come back on. So Cornell, you planning on coming back down to Oklahoma anytime in the next year or two?
Whenever I get a chance, I'll be down there. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a big undertaking.
Well,
yeah, my wife just can't figure out why you would come all the way down to Oklahoma from Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's so much fun. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife works at night now because she's got her own business, so I got to work during the day. So it's kind of, well, if it's over the weekend, it would be easy, but we'll see.
Kurt Stacy from Tennessee. Good to have you here. So anybody have any questions or anything for Cornell about what he's been at, or me for that matter? Just ask it in chat. Like I say, this is not what we had planned for tonight, but internet connections can be fickle. I've fell victim to that in the past when I was going to be on something. And being out here in the country, my internet is satellite, which is Starlink right now. But I was going to be on one show and got on there. A thunderstorm moved in and knocked me completely out.
Wow.
Will Starr said Ohio, August 3 and 4, Logan Bigfoot Festivals up there in Ohio. So
Ohio's good for festivals, isn't it? There's always festivals up there, it seems.
For sure. I'm going to try something here if I can. Keep talking, Cornell. I'm up to something.
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to turn the brightness down in this damn computer because it's blinding me. I just want to see the chat so I can see who's in there and
right.
But I don't know how to turn the brightness down. I forget. This isn't my computer, it's my son's, but he's on here right now, so I can there we go. There we go. Oh, he's coming back.
Oh, there he is. There he's back.
Hey, I just set the land speed record for my phone dying and getting back online. Not bad. Now I'm hiding in
Hey,
my.
There we
since
go.
we're doing, Will Star, I just sent you a link if you want to jump in on this too. Y'all don't mind, do you?
Ooh,
No, more the merrier.
he does good work.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he's
I just found out who the M guy is. He's a actual friend of mine from just down the road. So said I'm in chat under M. It's his secret agent name.
I
Yeah,
like Will's new logo.
Huh? Yeah. Man, Will
I like
does
that
really
logo.
good work there. So
He's good. He's good techie.
yeah, for sure. He's given me some good pointers on things in the past for sure as well. So Brian, other than the speakers at this conference, is there anything else going on? Is there going to be like booths where you can purchase things? And
There are going to be a few booths inside where some of the speakers are going to be selling books and different items. But it's really not about that. I don't know that whether or not she has got any actual vendors that are going to be in there other than the speakers. I can't really speak on that. That's kind of Tanya's business, but it's primarily, about like I said, it's not a festival. It's an actual conference. It's a place where people can come and, exchange ideas, learn, talk, intellectual banter, I guess you could say, back and forth. So that's what it's really about. It's not about the other stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah. So Brian, you wrote a book. I have a copy of it. How's that doing? You moving a few of them?
Slow but sure and surely slow. I do sell a few of them through Tanya, but I mean,
Okay.
Amazon hasn't found it yet, but I'll probably have a few at the conference for sale. But kind of one of those things. I didn't write it to make money. If that was the case, I would have. There was a lot of things I could have done about that book that would have. What's the word I'm looking for? Would have made it a lot more marketable out there on the open market. That book was actually written as it was basically curriculum for a class I was teaching.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the only reason I wrote it. I wrote it because I was asked by the school that I teach at to teach a short-term class on cryptozoology in Oklahoma. So that's the reason why it is what it is because it's technically, I mean, it's a textbook.
I noticed it's kind of set up like that. So I didn't know that was on purpose. I mean, I guess I should have, but
yeah, it's kind of its purpose is to kind of document some things for the state of Oklahoma, and and it's kind of, I guess you kind of say, it's kind of an ode to Oklahoma, just because that's where I'm from and that's what I push. And, I believe that I don't have to go to other states to chase Bigfoot. We've got plenty of them right here. Although I do travel occasionally, but, I don't need to leave Oklahoma, to go find them. We have plenty of them here.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, you're further away from the Kiamichis than I am. I'm about Cornell and I went's about an hour from my house.
Oh, must be nice.
And you're way up almost in Kansas, aren't you?
Yeah, I live in Enid, and it's probably a 5-hour trip for me.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will Star's not able to jump on. He's not at home, so.
That's too bad. So, yeah, I love the Kiamichis though, and I love all those areas down there. I mean, all of them have so much habitat to offer, and they're literally, like the Sasquatch are down there. They're everywhere down there, I think. So, whereas up where I'm at, they're mainly along the rivers. So they're a little bit easier to find here. I think there's a lower population where I'm from than where you guys are at. So,
Okay. David Perkins asked if we've got our campsites ready for summer. I have one that I set up over this last winter that's on my own property. It's pretty remote itself. I've actually, Brian, you and I did a podcast from there a couple of times, I think.
right.
But yeah, I'll probably go down there. I'm really itching to go camping. I haven't been in a good while. But I'll tell you another interesting part, David Perkins there. Campsite. Down in the Wichita Mountains, down in southwest Oklahoma, are really interesting. Have you been down there, Brian?
Yes. Yeah, I used to go down there a lot.
I mean, that area, Cornell, you've been to pretty much the eastern part of the state when you were here, but you go down southwest, like down around Lawton in those Wichita Mountains, it reminds me more of like New Mexico. I mean, it's
really
got those granite, the mountains there are granite. It's like different trees and stuff. It looks like a landscape in one of the old Westerns or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, you kind of think a bunch of, Indians are going to ride up and, come get you out there, and John Wayne's going to ride up on the other side of the mountain over there. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's really, really neat. A lot of rattlesnakes. Hey, there's Nikki.
Kind of like Utah or something, or like not Red Rock, but like granite.
I tell you what, Cornell, it doesn't even look like it should be in the same state as what the Kiamichis are. It's so obvious. It's almost desert.
Kiamichi.
More like Arizona or Utah or what you would think of there.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's
beautiful and peaceful.
Kiamichi looks like Massachusetts.
You're really Massachusetts, where you're at. What I've seen from what you recorded is closer to where we camp down here. But no, the southwest part of Oklahoma, it's with the Wichita Mountains, so totally different.
Is that going into Texas?
You're not far from it, not far from the Texas Panhandle. And then lower, you're right there in that lower southwestern corner of the state, kind of. David Perkins says, I recorded some very, very strange sounds down on our property. No idea what it was I heard. Yeah, man, you come back to Ada, man. Bring that with you. Let me hear it. I'd love to hear that.
Wow.
Send it by email and put it on your website. Or does he have a website?
Oh, check this out. Hold on. This is Jamie Raj, says Tanya's having trouble connecting. I was hanging out with her today and both of our phones stopped working. Still waiting to see if she can eventually join. Yeah, I mean, if we're still hearing Tanya, if I see her down there, I'll definitely put her on there.
Okay, I'm gonna take 5 and see how the kids are doing. Okay. 1 second.
We got more people in chat now, so I'm checking this. Check out the lakes just northwest of Talihina and the Buffalo Mountain that starts off them. The RE is a hollow named Devil's Hollow on Google Earth. You familiar with that, Brian?
Where's he talking about?
He said, check out, I don't know if you can see on the screen. This is Pyro. Check out the lakes just northwest of Talihina and the Buffalo Mountain that starts off of them. The RE is a hollow named Devil's Hollow on Google Earth nearby. Doesn't ring a bell, but.
Well, that guy knows. He's from that area. So, and he's right. There is some activity out there. As a matter of fact, I know a team that's working out there. So.
Yeah, that a whole area down there is like that. But there's a Nikki from Sasquatch Secrets. She got a YouTube channel as well. Check her out.
Hey, I've seen her show.
Yeah. She stays, unlike me who gets lazy with this sometimes, she stays pretty active with her YouTube.
Yeah, I've watched her show before.
Pyromedic for the win. So
Pyro was at the conference last year.
Yeah, sure. Well, it actually helped me carry my books and stuff in there, so he had to help me out a lot there. Here's Gary Spike Sr. said, I had an encounter at Brushy Lake north of Talihina. So, yeah, I mean, literally that area, I think a lot of the people in the chat's familiar with that. But if you're not, it's Brian, the nearest I call it, it's very, it's about as far west as the Appalachian style of mountains go. Is that fair?
Where's that at? Talihina?
Yeah, the Kiamichi Mountains and stuff.
We've got a lot of different little these old mountains here in Oklahoma, and they say that the Wichita Mountains are the reason why they're so unusual is because they're such an old mountain chain, and they're so eroded, So.
Yeah, you're talking about the Washita.
Yeah, the old Washita.
Right.
Wichita Mountains, not the Washitas. They're both really extremely old mountain chains.
A lot of people think like the Rockies and stuff are the old ones. No, they're the younger ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Really are. Let me answer Kurt. Stacy said, David, do you invite folks up on a panel to discuss their own maybe Bigfoot encounters? So far I haven't. The only people I've really had on is just single interviews, or like what tonight has kind of turned into, just some buddies of mine sitting around and talking about stuff. But I'm not saying I won't. I just have not up to this point. I know there's a few channels that do those panels and such. I might do it. Do what? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying Squatch Talk's one of those. Yeah,
Squatch Talk and such as that. There are a few that do. I haven't up to this point. So let's see.
Man, the mosquitoes are out.
They like you?
They're liking on me, yeah.
I'm not complaining one bit, but I typically don't have much issue with mosquitoes. So I'm happy about that. And now I said it out loud, they'll probably eat me alive when I go outside.
Yeah. But, as long as you keep moving, it's not a problem. So when you stop, they get you.
You just got to be faster than them.
Yeah.
So, well, Cornell, you got anything you want to mention, talk, ask?
Yeah, I want to know what Brian's history is with encounters and stuff like that. Does he have any?
With what?
Encounters. What's your history with Bigfoot? Have you? I haven't heard anything.
Oh, well, I've had a couple of what you would call distant Sasquatch sightings. I guess you could say I've laid eyes on them twice at a distance, and I actually got some video footage of the first one I saw, but it's pareidolia. I mean, it's nobody'd ever believe it, so I don't put it out there. Well, I actually did put it out on a video, but I didn't make a big deal out of it because it's worthless. But I know it's real, so for what that's worth. But I'm not the Sasquatch are the lion's share of my work, but it's not my what would you call it? I guess my specialty. I'm more into the dog man. So
Oh,
And
really?
I've been unfortunate enough to see what I think is 2 of them. So
Wow.
yeah, you're better off not knowing, to be quite honest with you. So, but yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I've always been kind of looking for Sasquatch. I actually kind of bumbled into an investigation in 1996 down at Stinchcombe in Oklahoma City. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, but what I did was I just looked into something that I found curious, and that's I think that's my case file number 7. So, but that's what I do now. Is I do field investigations. I go out. I look for evidence. I consider myself to be an evidence-based investigator. I don't usually go with what I feel, you know, because you can feel anything, but it's finding actual tangible evidence. That's my thing. I don't discount the woo, and I don't throw rocks at it because I don't know. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're truly an evidence-based investigator, then wouldn't it make sense that you would have evidence that something doesn't exist before you start talking about it? And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't have any evidence that a lot of this woo stuff is false. So
The woo
therefore
would explain a lot.
it would, yes, it would. But
Yeah.
until we have real evidence, I'm just going to kind of back gently away from it.
Yeah.
Not that, like I said, it's not that I don't believe in it, because I do have. You can ask David. I've got some personal opinions about the woo and some of the woo topics, but in reality, I don't know. I'm not going to go and say this is the truth because I have no
Yeah.
evidence for that.
Yeah. I
So
understand.
sticking to the evidence keeps you honest, and even when you got to realize that you're not going to be 100% right all the time. You are going to learn. Cryptids are going to teach you things. You are going to find out new things. And whenever all this stuff does come out, I think we're going to find out that a lot of us were way off with all of our hypotheses. So I'm just trying to
Well,
stay humble, stay open-minded.
Yeah.
I think one thing too, Brian, is like Brian and I, we're friends. We have differing opinions on some of that stuff. And I see this too often in people involved in this discussion or this subject. People getting offended when somebody doesn't have the same opinion they do about something. It's like, come on, we're grown ups. Good grief.
Yeah.
But where mine comes in, like my new book I've been working on for a good while. I just haven't had time to really do it. I'm going to have a chapter about other types of cryptids that people have sent me reports of. And it's going to have a big disclaimer at the front of it saying, look, I'm not endorsing or taking away from this. It's just, I look into Bigfoot. I'm not a paranormal investigator.
Amen. Me neither.
There are some things, and this is what I've said to Brian before. I have received reports of what people to believe to be Dogman or something like that. So what I have said, my opinion, I don't believe something like that is a viable, naturally occurring biological entity. To me, that would, if that is a reality, it would belong more in the paranormal. As far as that. Now, I'm, with that. Now, that's me, I'm not taking anything. I'm not taking anything away from the paranormal. I mean, I believe in God. That's about as paranormal as you can get, I guess,
That's right.
But now, being an evidence-based investigator, I have found evidence that I believe, points towards a Bigfoot. Past that, I have not. Brian, he may go out investigating things and come up with something totally different. But you don't, if you're an honest investigator, which, and I don't mean honest as far as being dishonest. I mean, like to yourself, you're honestly looking into these things. If somebody sends you reports, if you go like, yeah, that's not what I do, and just throw it in the trash. No, put it away in a file, and see what comes up later about it. Now, but with me, yeah, my opinion, I think Dogman, as I hear some people reported, a bipedal dog-headed thing. I just don't see that as a naturally occurring biological specimen. To me, that would fall more into like the paranormal aspect of thing. Again, Brian, you may completely disagree with me. That's just totally okay.
I mean, I'm not going to throw rocks at you. I mean, my personal opinion is that, all Sasquatch are just misidentified dogmen. And
oh my gosh.
But seriously, I mean, I understand where David's coming from. But, no, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, I understand where David's coming from. And I understand why he thinks the way he thinks, and I respect it. It's a little hard for me to go with the spiritual thing because, well, I saw them, and they weren't phasing in and out. They weren't glowing, or they weren't hovering, or anything like that. And so, I guess for lack of a better way of putting it, they looked real to me, both of them. So.
Okay.
We'll just kind of leave it like, but there's a lot of things that would make Dave's point real solid, like the lack of tracks that are left by them. Okay. I'd say there's like one Dogman track out there floating around on the internet for every, I don't know, 100 Bigfoot tracks. So they're pretty rare. Now, maybe the population is lower, and I think I would say, yeah, that's probably accurate because, I've probably got 250 Sasquatch reports, and I think I've got like 70 Dogman reports for Oklahoma and southern Kansas.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, okay, it's a lot, but it's, a lot less than the Sasquatch, so.
Got a question. Go ahead, Cornell.
Just one question, Brian. If you were to say someone who was interested in Dogman and wanted to know more, what would be a good resource, as in podcast or channel? What would be the prime kind of place you would find that information?
Real information? That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. There is very few what I would consider to be solid, reputable, that are still active.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it's kind of tough. It seems like there's a lot of fiction in the Dogman genre. And I'll be honest with you, I'm having a real hard time sniffing out the bull on that and finding truth. So I really, I listened to a few of them, like Dogman Encounters Radio. I don't think Vic Cundiff is a liar, but right. I think some of the people that he has on there are misleading Vic, and I think that's the case that you're going to find everywhere. So
same with Bigfoot.
Yeah. So I've got some questions over here in chat I want to get to because these are now. I think this is my buddy here. I think he's kind of jabbing at me. They say you whoop to call a Bigfoot, but how would you call a Dogman? Well, I made a video about that.
Yeah, he did.
I did.
And you did.
I thought I would make people mad, but I got a bunch of laughs out of it, which is what I intended. But on my channel, on this channel, Bigfoot and More, go to the shorts, and I demonstrate how to call a Bigfoot and how to call a dog man. And I just nobody get offended because I was having fun.
It was a comedy skit.
Do what?
It was a comedy skit.
Yeah. Now here's a question from Will Starr to Brian and Cornell. Will knows what I think, or my own feelings about it. Brian and Cornell, are you in the Bigfoot is human type camp or ape type camp?
Brian first.
I'm definitely not an ape person, because if they're apes, what does that say about us?
Yeah,
it'd be very convenient if they were apes. That would be nice.
They were
I'd probably
just
sleep
apes
better
that
at
had
night.
one in the zoo.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the proper term, in my opinion, would be like a relic hominoid. They're too slick, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're just a dumb ape, because if they're just no, I mean, hell, we haven't caught up with them yet. They're kicking our ass. So
Cornell, what do you think?
I think they're some kind of human. They're too smart. They're too fast. I think that they're like some kind of wild human hybrid that's like really adept in its environment, and it has developed amazing skills like speed and sight in the darkness and smell and all those things that would make it be able to survive. Like, it's not that hard to hide from humans in the woods, right? You know, even if you're trying to hide from someone in the woods, it's not that difficult, you know? So I don't think I'd have any difficulty, especially if they're part human. And so many people say, you know, that they look human.
Hiding is one thing. Existing long term, procreating is different on that. But yeah, I think whatever they are, they're smart enough to know we're bad news and do their best to avoid us.
Yeah.
But their curiosity gets the best of them at times, and they just can't help it.
That's what evidence suggests.
Right, I agree.
That, and here we have Pat from Squatch Talk. What do you think?
Hey, Pat.
BF Pop is? Pat, I don't know what y'all know what he means.
Bigfoot population.
Gosh, it's a long day. Good question. What do you think, Brian?
I'm gonna get ridiculed over this one.
Okay, let's get the ridicule over with. Okay.
I know, right? First of all, I would never even venture a guess at the population of Sasquatch in the whole country. But I believe there could possibly be as many as 4,000 in Oklahoma. I know that's pretty extreme. So that's spread out all over. Of course, Northwest Oklahoma would probably have the lesser share of that. But, I think there's a lot more of them than people realize, because I found tracks of whole family groups in areas in Northwest Oklahoma. I found at a location out in Northwest Oklahoma tracks from 8 different individuals. And I mean, it was a family unit. I mean, we started calling them after the Jetsons, George and Judy, and Elroy was the little one. And I think there's more of them than what we realize. But that's my humble opinion, and if you have evidence to prove me wrong, I'll listen to it. I'd be happy to be wrong.
Cornell, do you have an opinion on that?
1 second, Leslie. I have absolutely no idea. I wouldn't even hazard a guess.
I'm on the other end of the opinion than Brian on that. I don't, and again, and just going from my part of the state, I'm not up in the Northwest, so I don't have an opinion about that. But here, like take the Kiamichi Mountains, I believe there is a small population and they're highly nomadic. And the reason I think that if they were not nomadic, any type of, especially large species stays in one area for that long, there's going to be loads of evidence of that, whether it's deer or elk or bear, whatever it is. So what evidence that I have looked into and the sightings I've investigated point toward towards very small groups of individuals that stay on the move through certain ranges. And again, that's just me personally. As far as a number, Pat, what do I think the population is? I'm not even going to venture that. But me personally, I don't put it in the thousands in Oklahoma, and I could be totally wrong about that. Brian may be way more on point than me, and maybe Brian and I just disagree with each other because it's fun.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get some opinions. People are sharing their opinions on some of the things we've talked about. Kurt, Stacy said Bigfoot is more realistic as we look at the whole gorilla, monkey, ape, etc. animals. Okay. Bob Hip adds here, he says, I agree with David on this aspect. He's talking about Dogman. I think if it does exist, it would most likely be a supernatural thing. It doesn't make sense to me as something biological, but I'm sure, I was talking about Brian here, I'm sure you saw it. So that's opinion. I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable with adding an honest opinion on here.
Yep.
It's because let me be very clear here. I investigate Bigfoot sightings. To me, it's not a religion or anything like that. It is a very fun outdoor mystery. Okay. Do I think Bigfoot is out to get us? No. If he is, if they are, I'm going to say he is one. If the Bigfoot species is out to get people, as some people sensationalize, it's sure not very good at it. And I've said that at the conference I've spoken.
Hey guys,
Cornell.
I gotta shoot. My daughter's sleepover wants to go home, so I've got to drive him home.
Okay. Well, man, Cornell, it's good to talk to you, man.
Later,
yes,
buddy.
it's fun.
Let's schedule something. Let's schedule something later sometime.
Oh, we definitely will. I want to do this again.
Okay. Have a good one, man.
See you later.
Nice to meet you, Brian. See you guys.
Okay, so here's another right here. This is Jamie Raj said, I've had an experience with a dog man back in Maryland. I believe they called it a Duwayo. Physically saw it, and it peed right next to my mailbox. Smell like battery acid. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to report something to do with that, I'm sure Brian would love to have it in his.
I only do Oklahoma and Southern.
Oklahoma. Okay. All right. I don't
Interesting.
mean to be a downer, but I think some of us here knew of Uncle Bones. Just making sure those that knew him know of his passing. Yeah, Pyro, thanks for bringing that up. I did not know him personally, but he was somebody that was in a lot of the chats on several of these podcasts and stuff. And I think today just heard that he had passed away. So yeah,
I don't even know where he's from.
I don't. I just recognize the name from the chats on the podcast, but very sad. Thanks for bringing that up, Pyro. And Kansas Squatch, he didn't know that. Here's Bob Hip. I'm sure he's talking about the Sasquatch. To me, they're definitely a type of people, an ancient type. Okay. Let's see. Will Star said he's been thinking ancient Denisovan type creature. Funny you mentioned that. I was looking in some of the science stuff on, I think it was, anyway, on the internet, and it was talking about the people of Papua New Guinea had the highest level of Denisovan DNA in their ancestry. So yeah, let's see. Here's M. Do y'all think they migrate or maybe subterranean? I personally, for this part of the country anyway, I think if you mean migrate as far as north to south with the seasons, I personally haven't looked into anything that leads that way. But me, I think more nomadic in like certain general areas. You want to add anything to that, Brian, or your thoughts?
Well, this is speculation, of course, but I don't think they move around. I think they move around, but I don't think it could be called, anything other than just some localized, management of food resources. I don't think they, travel 100 miles. I think they stay in an area for a little while. They use it, and then they move to a different. I think they probably make a big circle, and just it's about management of food resources and staying in cover. I mean, it just kind of makes sense that if you stayed in an area and you knew it and you were comfortable with it, that you'd be safer in an area that you knew like the back of your hand. Moving around.
I don't think we're disagreeing there. When I'm talking nomadic, I'm not talking about from Oklahoma to Nevada or something. I'm talking about like regionally, like take the Ouachita Mountains. That's a lot of territory.
It is
over in Arkansas, and I'm thinking more like small family group that utilizes, that. And that's what I'm meaning when I'm saying nomadic. I think a lot the same as what you're, saying.
Well, there's the thing is we don't really have a whole lot of evidence. There's the footprints that have been found that kind of show that some of them do travel longer distances, like the Cripplefoot trackways that were found
in Washington.
But I don't know that would really be applicable to the species that we have here in Oklahoma. The closest thing we have to data, actual tangible data down here, is the I think it's Tag 7 deal that I'm trying to think, the people down there that were doing research at Cucumber Creek did with the. Now that's what I call some pretty solid work, and I'll lean that way before I lean any other way.
Okay.
I know that Jim Whitehead has done some work down in southwestern Oklahoma and kind of compiled a general area because he had a series of Sasquatch reports with a Sasquatch that had an unusual color scheme markings on him. So he was able to, kind of get a general idea of, a range for that one based on the fact that he had some unusual markings in his fur. So, but as far as like actually, who knows? Maybe there's, the rogue male that we always kind of kick around the idea. Maybe he just wanders the earth like the Incredible Hulk and David Banner, and I mean, who knows what's really going on there? But the truth is the young ones and the females are probably not going to be as willing to travel when there's adequate food sources and resources right where they're at. And when it comes right down to it, there's probably plenty of food. All I need to do is find a local dump or something, and they can probably eat for free.
Yeah. So we need is lazy Sasquatch.
I know. Next thing you know, they'll be obese and have diabetes like us. So
well, you get one that gets so fat eating out of the dumpsters, he gets stuck in it, like that bear in Colorado.
Yeah,
he got so fat he couldn't get back out of the dumpster, and they had to help him out.
That's
Bob,
why I avoid dumpsters. I don't want to get caught again.
Bob brought something up here, and I've actually talked about this a little in the past. I think at conferences and stuff. If they have a language which they supposedly do and craft things, to me that makes them a type of people. Right. If they do if they did in fact have a language, yeah, it would. As far as crafting things, the only thing I've got to fall back on that with is the old story about Seraphina Long up in British Columbia that was abducted, reportedly by the male Sasquatch. And in her report, in the cave that they took her to, they had crafted some kind of like woven blanket type things in there. And according to her, they actually made fire in that cave. So that's very, very different, but very curious.
Well, keep in mind, technology and the ability to craft items is something that's spurred out of necessity. If the reason why we're so technologically driven is because we are weak in nature, we're easily killed, and we were forced, to start that technology race just to defend ourselves. Why would a Sasquatch who's bigger and stronger and and can run down its prey and kill it with its hands? It doesn't need things like we need things to survive. It's fine. So my theory on it is if they are making something, crafting something, it's for entertainment purposes because they don't really need anything else.
Well, yeah, somebody made the comment in my I forget who it was, Brian. They were talking about evolution, and I don't want to get into religious talk on this about evolution or whatever. But somebody said to me, was like, well, why don't they evolve? Why are they still like that? And I'm like, well, scientifically, I mean, if they were perfectly designed for survival in their habitat, why would they need to?
Exactly.
So
they never had to pick up the club.
I'm getting quite a bit of comments on here. Will Star, his deal, he says 5,000 to 10,000 in all of North America is my opinion, highly nomadic, especially the young males. Okay. That was that. And I appreciate everybody adding their 2 cents worth in this. Do you think they live in caves and underground? There are a lot of these caves and underground areas here in Tennessee. Maybe. I mean, why not?
Why not? We did.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably depends on, they're probably just, if they do, it's for opportunistic reasons. I don't think they have to. Maybe in the winter. I don't know.
I think they move around in the summer. We have wildfires here in Washington. Man, you guys sure have up there.
Yeah.
El Paso, Sensible. Okay. I'd like to, Randy said neither. I would like to. Okay, right here he said, migrate or caves, neither in my opinion. I'd like to hear more of that opinion about that. Let's see here. We got quite a few comments on here, Brian. I'm trying to get caught up. I'm not ignoring people, but I can't stay on here a lot longer. But have you heard any stories from an area called Holson Valley in the Ouachitas? That my dad heard a strange scream while bow hunting 2 years in a row back in the 80s. I haven't. Have you, Brian?
Yes, I know that area well.
Okay.
There's still activity going on down there. That's at the base of the Winding Stair Mountain. So.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. That's an interesting place, and it's pretty rugged. And I heard a rumor. I don't know. I haven't had an opportunity to follow up on it, but I heard that there was a lady down there that had a bunch of horses killed, and what do they call that? Maimed down that way, and kind of waiting on some information to trickle back in on it, but nobody really knows what really happened there. So
okay.
Will
Star made a good point about evolving. So if crocodiles haven't evolved in millions of years,
Dang.
Well, they're not as big as they were at one time, apparently. But yeah, they're still basic. Lowland sharks is another, they do a lot of that.
There you go.
I don't know. Randy's commenting on hard to form informative interpretations when those reporting the ongoing can be mistaken, misinterpret things, downright make things up, add details, even looking for attention, and blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that stuff out there, and there's sometimes a minefield of things to wade through and trying to determine what is or isn't evidence. Me and Brian may be total different, but if I find something, take it, say, tree structures. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that, I mean, nature can do some strange things with wood and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's, I mean, but I kind of look at it, if it's certain things, if a person could have done it, they probably did, maybe. And I don't know. I just haven't found anything regarding that I would say, yep, that had to have been a Sasquatch do that. Not saying it couldn't have been, just
yeah. Well, I'm kind of I don't know what the tree structures are. I have no idea, but I mentioned that I bumbled into an investigation in 1996 at Stinchcombe Wildlife Management Area there in Oklahoma City metro area, and they said on the news that this Sasquatch ran into the wildlife management area. And so I went out there and hopped the fence, because this was way before they had the parking lot and the hiking trail and all that. And I bushwhacked back in there. And way back in 1996, I found tree structures back there then. Now, I had no idea what I was looking at. I'd never heard of tree structures. That was pre-internet and everything. And, I had no idea what I was looking at. It just didn't make any sense. And I just kind of blew it off and blamed it on tweakers or something. Like, maybe
the most dangerous thing in the woods, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have video evidence of that too. But no, seriously, I didn't know what to make of them. But the fact was, I found tree structures there in Stinchcombe in 1996 before. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure that the whole tree structure phenomenon had even hit Oklahoma back then. I wasn't even going to hear about it till much, much later. But long story short, something was making them back then, and I don't think it was humans. But I have no idea what they are, other than maybe a territory boundary or something like that. So. But structures come in different shapes and forms, and I don't know. I don't have any answers on that one.
Kurt Stacy said, guess it depends on how far out in the woods you are and how far away from civilization. Tree structures, are we talking a few miles or 50 miles into the forest?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's another part of the mystery. But the thing is, this subject is so now, especially so saturated in pop culture. And I think back when I started really looking into this, I would still talk to a few, not a lot, but I would interview a few people that had not heard of what a Bigfoot was. One was a cowboy guy that breaks horses. I think he's still living. That back in like 2000 had one of these things walk out on a trail in front of him way down in the Kiamichi Mountains while he was horseback riding. And this guy, I'd been to his house. He had electricity. He did not have a TV. Okay. He was born in the wrong era. Right. And he asked me, he says, what are they? Are they apes or what? The thing is, it didn't scare him because he went ahead and rode back down in the mountains and stayed there, by himself. But he was just, dumbfounded, because he's like, of all the things I've seen out in the woods, I've never seen that before. But the thing is, he said it was about, several yards in front of him. I think he said it's about 50 yards. It walked into the trail. He was on the horse walking along the trail.
Right.
And it walked with its back to him out in the road, and it looked back and saw him and then ran back into the woods. So, and he didn't describe it as some 9 foot tall, whatever. He said it was over 6 foot tall. It was not small.
If he was making up a story, you'd think he'd make it bigger, right?
He wasn't making it up. I don't, if it was not a Bigfoot, it was a mistaken identity for something. The man
I'm just
was
playing devil's advocate.
right. No, because he definitely didn't report it. The only way I heard about it is one of my neighbors that's a cowboy that knew I looked into that, said, hey, a friend of ours that breaks horses, he saw something down there in the Kiamichi riding his horse, and I got with him, and he actually took me to the guy's house, and he told me about it. So I'd have to go back and get the papers and see exactly how tall he thought it was, but it wasn't like, like somebody making up a story, the monster is going to be big, generally. But yeah, there's nothing about what he was saying is lying. There's only 2 possibilities. He saw a Bigfoot, or he mistaked something for a Bigfoot. So anyway, well, it's getting about time for me to get off of here. But we ended up having a pretty decent time tonight for it didn't work out exactly what we was expecting, but I say, Tanya can't help it. Her internet was not acting right, and I've had her on a podcast before, and she had a little trouble with it then. We was able to do more, but this time it just didn't work out. But yeah, Will, it's good to be back. I'm going to try to start doing these more regular. Bob Hitt said tree structures are interesting, but it depends on how they are made, how large, how heavy, types of wood in them and around them, etc. But unless we see them building them, then it's difficult, and that is true. And plus, somebody trying to hoax something now, they're going to know about stuff like that, and so yeah, that's a tough one. David, I appreciate that. So anyway, Brian, you have anything before we call it a night? We've been on here a couple hours, close to it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I really don't have. I kind of came on here all impromptu. All I would say is, please join us at the conference at the end of the month. We're going to have a good time, and we can all put our heads together and visit. I love meeting new people, and I love shaking hands and hearing new stories, and it's a good opportunity to network. And for those of you who, if you've never been to a conference like that, it's absolutely amazing to be in a situation where everyone around you is there because they probably believe too. And for once in your life, you'll be, in a crowd where the majority believes, instead of, like me getting picked on at work over the whole thing,
Well, really? Hey, Brian, I mean, people, a lot of people make fun of your stuff. You just got to own it. Just say, yeah, that's me. You're that Bigfoot guy? Yeah, that's me.
Gotta get over it. So for a long time, they didn't know at work until one of the ladies in the marketing department heard me on a podcast, and then suddenly everybody knew. I'm not exactly sure what happened there.
I had a fella here a couple of weeks ago. He was a photographer, sporting event photographer, going from Dallas to Tulsa, that went out of his way to stop by the store, my music store, and buy one of my books. He says, well, it ain't that far away. So yeah, every once in a while somebody will pop in that's, saw me on the Travel Channel or something like that, or whatever. And that's kind of nice sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
So anyway, well, Brian, thanks for coming on. And we kind of, you and Chet, we kind of ad-libbed this tonight. And Cornell, he helped out a lot. And like I say, we still hopefully got a little advertisement in for the Kiamichi Mountain Bigfoot Conference that Tanya's putting on. And if you're ever there in Talihina, anytime she's got the Talihina Bigfoot Museum, that's kind of a neat place to stop in and visit as well. So, anyway,
shirts and everything. So
yeah, shirts. She sells my books in there, and I think Brian's as well, and all of that. So it's a neat place to stop and visit, and her and her husband Chuck, they're nice folks. So stop there if you can. The end of this month, first day of next month, stop the Bigfoot Conference in Talihina and visit the Bigfoot Museum. And I guess that's about all. Thanks everybody in chat for stopping by and taking part. And hopefully we'll be back on soon. Okay, Bob's officially a neat guy. He's a guitar player himself, probably better than
there you go.
And there's my buddy Malcolm there. Glad to see you on tonight. And Cornell, hope to meet him while he's here. And so, okay. Well, that's all. Again, Brian, thanks for coming on. Thanks to everybody.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Thanks everybody for joining in, man.
Yeah, for sure. Good night.
Well, you guys have a good night.